how you have fun for real. And coming from our mentor, the top producer in the entire industry, who's made over $80 million by taking the industry of direct sales, the model, and applying a very professional approach. He taught us that this is simply a business where you get a benefit from a product, so you want to share that benefit, and then those people get a benefit that you shared with, and they want to share it with other people, and that's really the business model that you are building. So it's about just sharing, and then they get a benefit, so they want to share as well. So this is, but there's a teaching he gave to us about having fun, and I hope that this will come across to you today as we're going through this webinar. So let's look at why we don't have fun first. My slide's not clicking. Okay, so is this you? You're not having fun. If you're not having fun, you're not doing the business right. And by the end of this webinar, you're going to say, well, you're going to check a few things with yourself. We are going to learn that what makes this business fun. We are going to learn how to lighten up so our sales will brighten up. We cannot get paralysis of analysis, which will cause you to do nothing. You cannot be so confused about so many different ways to do the business that a confused mind does nothing. Because when you do nothing, it's not fun. Okay, so we don't want to get it too serious, so we're afraid to try something. We don't want to be so serious and so perfectionist, such a perfectionism problem that you don't approach somebody, you don't talk to somebody because you don't know what to say perfectly. You can't have that either. So those are the reasons you're not having fun. So you're too serious, you're not analysis, you're wanting to be perfect, you have a perfectionism problem, so you're really not going out there, you're not making a game, you're not having fun, where you're like, how many people can I talk to today? And you're more focused on how many people can I talk to. They're going to say yes, they're going to sign up, they're going to want the product, they're going to want to do the business, and if I don't get a yes, 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 then I am a failure. And you're connecting your activity to this result you need to have, and that can really spin you downward. So we're gonna unspin that. The reason you're not having fun is because of all those factors. So what do we need to do? One of the reasons you don't have fun is because of a thing called team mismanagement. So what's going wrong? Look at these people on the team. Oh, not producing, not having fun. This doesn't work. The attorneys aren't good. Nobody's interested. I've been talking to people. Nobody wants the product. None of the companies are interested in the employee benefit. Nobody wants the opportunity. Nobody's really making money. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, all those kind of things. What is going wrong? How does it get like this? How do you get a team that is so unproductive and so unenthusiastic? What went wrong? Well, there's 4 stages of what can go wrong. Let's look at 4 stages of the business. First, you're producing. You're out there, you're producing, you're going, you're coaching, you're PDA, you're talking to your team coach every day so you can get better. Then second, you start to produce. So now you have the ability to coach others to do what you did because you actually did it. So you did it. You coach, you use the service, you shared, you saw people getting a benefit. Now you're going to coach others to do what you did. They're going to make their list. They're going to go out and talk to people. They're going to ask for R3, and then they're going to be committed, and they're fast start qualifying. And they're out there doing what you did. So now you're coaching others to produce. But here comes the problem. Number 3. Now somebody starts to oversee the producers. Now you're just going to, hey, you know, how many people get to the meeting? Hey, how many people did you present to today? Hey, you know, I'm going to oversee. I'm going to start calling everybody, make sure they're producing, and make sure they're coaching others to produce. So now I become the 3rd stage, which is I'm overseeing the producer. I'm not actually doing 1 and 2. I'm actually doing number 3. And then the worst of the worst situation is the 4th one, when you're overseeing the overseers. And that is the real problem. Number 3 and number 4 are basically dealing with putting out fires. If that is all you're dealing with, it becomes stressful and it's no fun, because you're listening to the people in the 1 and the 2 stage, and they're going to tell you all the things wrong because you're overseeing that, and they're going to say, well, this didn't work, or that didn't work, and this person's doing that, or that person's doing this, and you become that overseer. So if you are in mismanagement, this is what's going wrong. You're in the third and fourth stage. You need to get back into the first stage. And the first stage is really where the action's at. So what do we need to do? We need to live in the business building mode. That is the absolute key. To have fun, we have to stay in the building mode. To get back into the fun, get back into the production stage. Production stage is where you're putting on new accounts, you're putting on new people. All right, so let's go back to that. And you're putting on the right people, actually. So when you have a new baby associate with a new contact list and they want success, they're passionate, they're excited, they like the product, they're teachable, they're willing to work, and they have a burning desire, now you're having fun. All right, so when you have that baby associate and you have that contact list, that is the key. When you are building the business around people that want it, they want to do the business, they want to make a difference, they want to go out to the marketplace, they love the service, they want to share it. That is a blast. Okay, here's one thing that I've seen, though, that is kind of a causes people to think they're in the building mode, but it actually sucks the life out of you, and that is this. Well, before I go into that, let's look at, last week we talked about 15% of your customers will want to build a business with you. So in the business building mode, you're going to have a lot of satisfied customers. In this case, you have 20 satisfied customers, and the people that will want to be part of your business are going to be 15% of those 20, which is 3. So you need to understand, you're going to be going out there seeing the people telling the story, and you're going to be presenting the service. You always lead with the service, and then you're also going to mention the R3, of which you're going to, one of the questions of the referrals to the power of 3 is we also need help expanding this into the marketplace. That's going to bring, hey, I'd be interested, or hey, I know somebody. Okay, so that's the R3, and that can turn into one of your customers becoming an associate, a member, and then also an associate. So we call them an associate member. And so then once they're an associate, out of all your associates, there's going to be about 3 that are going to say, this timing is so perfect. This is a perfect storm. This is, I cannot walk past this window of opportunity. They're going to get it. They're going to do something about it, and they're going to go into action. That is the blast of all time right here, these 3 right here. The rest of them, our mentor used to say, work with your best, love the rest. So what do I do? How do I manage? How do I not mismanage, but I manage? So that I'm working with these 3 and I'm not spending time. I am spending time. I'm helping them. But if you want to, depending on your goals, okay, if you want to grow, if you want to have fun, you're going to work with your best and love the rest, right? So what you do is all of the ones that are, they have questions, they can plug into your webinar. They can plug into when you meet with, when you have a leadership meeting. They can all come to that leadership meeting. They can participate, but the key is I've studied all sales models out there. I have gone around the country. I have gone into all these different companies that build sales teams. Northwest Mutual, huge companies, Heartland Payment Systems, Aflac, State Farm, you name it. I'm studying these companies, and I find out when they have leadership and they have teams, RE/MAX, real estate agents, independent agents, all that, they come together, and the key is this. Let's say all 20 of these people are in a room, and 3 of these 20 are business builders. So how do I not become a mismanager? I would focus on the ones that had the highest recruiting, the highest sales, the highest production. They are the ones that are talking. Let me make sure you understand what I'm saying. They are the ones that need to share. I don't need to, if this guy right here, if he hasn't sold one thing in the last 3 months, he is not talking. There is nothing for him to serve. He can't serve the team. There isn't a production. There isn't an idea. There isn't reality that he has to serve. He can't serve this group of 20 people if I'm having a meeting. So the only people that need to share and talk are the producers. That's why it's fun, because they have something positive to say. They are actually out there. They're talking to 10 people and 3 said yes, or 6 said yes, or they have the activity. All right, so that activity then feeds leads, the ones that aren't having the activities. Let's say this 60% of the people aren't doing anything, so you focus on your 20 to 40% that are doing something, and your top 20% or 15% that are really doing something and making it happen. Those are the ones that are sharing. What are you doing, and how is it working, and why is it working? And so that gets everybody fired up. So you got to make sure when you are building and you're working with your team, you're not in mismanagement. You're not letting, it's not that their questions aren't important, it's that when you come together, you're a leader and you're a business builder, and companies do not, they focus on what is working. So whatever is pure and right and excellent and praiseworthy, think on those things, talk about those things, and that's when you bring the business builders together. So now going back, here is a problem. Let's say you have your 20 associates, you've got your business builders that emerge out of your 20 associates, but one of these guys, one of these 20 people just is not working, it's not for them, and here's what I think could cause you to not have fun, and that is you focus on that one person it's not working at all for them, and they don't really like it, they don't like the attorneys, they don't like the business, they don't like this, they don't like that. And so here's what I want to let you know. It is okay if they don't want it anymore and it's not working for them, and it's not going to, it's okay to let them go. And I think that is a big problem in management or building a team. You think that everyone needs to succeed. Not everyone graduates high school. Not everyone in real estate actually sells a house. There are, well, I don't know what percentage, I don't know the stat, but I can guarantee you the people that go get a $1,500 real estate license, there is a huge percent that never sell a house, ever. And so does that mean real estate should shut down and they shouldn't have real estate agents, and that means that whole industry is a scam? No, it means somebody went through the real estate license, paid $1,500, got the real estate license, and never applied it, didn't go out in the marketplace, didn't market themselves, and never got a listing or a buyer, and they didn't sell a house. And that happens. All right, that's just the way it is. I remember our mentor saying, she was a kindergarten school teacher, and she just wanted everybody to graduate. And the hardest thing for her was, understanding not everyone graduates, not everyone sells a house, not everybody makes it in the stock market as a financial planner. Not everyone is going to make it or do well. So because of the way they think, because of their attitude, the way they choose to their activity levels on a daily basis. Those habits matter on a daily basis. And if they're not willing to get uncomfortable, then they're going to be in the same income position that they've always been in, which means they're not growing. And so it is a problem for people to let that person go. And if they decide it's not for them, we have people, friends of ours, that it's not for them, and they are super great friends of ours. They love it. We have one person, she just went and had babies and stuff like that, but she still got 1 month, she makes, like 50 sales 1 month a year. She has an account that just kind of keeps coming back every year, and she hit executive director, and she's not even working. And so that's nice, for somebody, and that's okay. That's where she's at. She's at home with her 2 little babies, and so you have to be able to let it go. Okay, let's move on. Now, if your business is stagnant, this is what you need to do. You need to find someone who wants it. Go find someone who wants it, who has desire and hunger, and put that new person as a frontline producer. That's the key, a frontline producer. All right, go back and do what you did in the beginning. Get into the recruiting, the production, the building phase. That is what you need to do. That's what happens if your business is stagnant. You need to start to build. Nothing will ignite you more than 5 new frontline associates and their new passionate team members. That is a blast. Brielle, come over here because I'm going to ask you a few questions here. All right, so then this is another key, the 3-foot rule. Here's massive action. Here's how you go into a community. And I'm going to just use Brielle's story. I mean, Brielle just made more this month than she made in half a year at her old career. And so she's had a, bang up, just killer month, and it's phenomenal. She's having a blast. She has 12 people right now. She's on the webinar right now, but she has 12 people in group school in Atlanta. 12 new people in group school in Atlanta. How in the world in 2 years does she have this monster check? I mean, she's almost, making what most people make in a year, or some people. And so in 1 month, what's going on? How did this happen? And it's really a part of this whole webinar. She's having a blast. She's going out there. But we teach three things. Okay, here's one major thing. Y'all know about creating your list? All right, so we make a list. We talk to the people we know. That's called your warm market. The second part that we were taught is the 3-foot rule. So I have my warm market and my 3-foot rule. 3-foot rule can be a networking group. I go to a networking group, I walk up to somebody, I start to shake hands. Everywhere I go, I shake hands. This guy might be, having lunch with a friend, and he turns to the side and he starts talking to the people, saying, hey, where are you from? And now you're engaging with the people next to you. It could be you walk into Starbucks, you walk into Dunkin' Donuts, you get your coffee, and there's somebody standing there that's in a suit, and you're like, so what do you do? And you start to engage with them. Oh, it looks like you're having a pretty important meeting. Oh, great, huh? And you start to talk to them, and that's the 3-foot rule. Now you've got a friend. The key is everyone you meet becomes part of your team. Anyone who is within 3 feet of you, you talk to them, you make a connection. Put a smile on your face, say hello, ask a question, make a friend, make a connection. Be a team player. Okay, team isn't who signed up in your business. I want you to change your concept of team. A team player is that everyone you meet becomes part of your team. Everyone you meet, you shake your hand, you make that connection, because they may know a company, they may know somebody who's looking for an opportunity like we have as a career. They may be somebody that are looking for our service. So when you extend yourself get out of your house, get out there into the community, and make everyone part of your team. Here's the key. If our mentor used to say, if I were dropped out of an airplane, I said this last week, if he were dropped out of an airplane and he used the 3-foot rule only because he was dropped into a city he knew no one, he would be able to build a thriving business within 90 days anywhere in the United States, because the 3-foot rule turns cold market to warm market, and each new contact opens you up to hundreds of potential prospects. I'm going to say this again. I want you to think, were dropped out of a plane and you were put into a city you knew no one, could you use the 3-foot rule to build a thriving business within 90 days, no matter where you were dropped? No matter, especially in a city where they say, it's not working, I can guarantee you, if we were dropped into that city that it's not working, nobody wants this, in 90 days we have a thriving business. Now, the key about this 90 days, which is going to go over to Brielle here, I was talking to her this morning, because there's this crazy confusion out there that thinks that I'm going to call everybody I know, and they're going to be everywhere all over the country, and somehow that's going to work. And I want you to just think, forget LegalShield for a second. Let's think State Farm. John's sister opened a State Farm agency in a little town in Michigan. Her first 30 days, she called 1,000 people. Oh, does State Farm agents not work? Oh, they have the State Farm name, so do they just automatically become successful? No. She called 1,000 people in her first 30 days because she knew she had to launch her business in their first 30 days. You hear me saying that all the time. There's something about the way I think some of the people are being taught that they don't understand what launch means. What does it mean to launch your business? Well, for State Farm agent Sarah Haste, it meant calling 1,000 people in 30 days. And out of those 1,000 people, she actually never hung up the phone. It would dial, 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 until she had enough people that wanted her service that it was able to launch her business. And from there came referrals and satisfied customers that told other people, you got to work with Sarah. She's the best. She's the best. She's the best. And bam, she's the #1 insurance agent in that area in Michigan, in her city. So she was going after local market penetration, local market dominance, very specific, very focused, across the street. This is what our mentor told us: across the street, across the city, then across the state, then across the country. So master your local market. So Brielle, let's talk a little bit about you, and I'm going to finish with one more slide. So the 3-foot rule, we're going to talk about it, but the whole purpose of the 3-foot rule is this: each person you connect with is an open flood of possibilities. every connection, every 3-foot rule, every conversation you have, every networking group you go to. So Brielle, can you just share how when you started, like you didn't know anyone in Knoxville. You had been out of the city for 5.5 years, so you've been building in Birmingham. Then you come into Knoxville, you're like all your contacts are gone. You really didn't know anybody in the business community. You just knew everyone from high school. But so what exactly, how did you go across the street, across the city, and erupt into what you have, where 12 people on your team literally are at group school right now as we're sitting here? And you're building this, and now you're moving to Nashville and doing exactly the same thing you did in Knoxville, you're doing in Nashville. Give us a little bit of an idea of how you erupted like that.
Well, good morning, everyone. Awesome webinar, as always. The brilliance of Ms. Hoffman just blows me away. Yeah, so just real quick, I think that Nashville's more fresh than Knoxville was 2 years ago, but it's been extremely exciting having launched Knoxville successfully to move into a new market and begin to launch Nashville successfully. In my first full week of being in Nashville, I probably had 20 meetings. I opened 2 groups. I met with 3 other groups. I recruited 2 new people. I met with the largest church in Nashville and another large, very large financial organization that all of you would know the name of if I said it, and then had probably, I think, 15, 20 plus meetings. So how is that possible? Well, great question. So what I did is, and what I encourage everyone to do, and if you're not doing this, your business is not going to be as fun. I encourage everyone, when you launch a new market, or even in your market, let's say you've been in your market for a year, 2 years, get back to the basics of this, or even 10 years. I literally met with a business owner, and I said, hey, here's the scoop. I'm launching the Nashville market. I'm extremely excited about it. We're on a mission to protect families. If you were in my shoes, where would you network? Who would you talk to? Where would you go? And I basically interviewed like 3, well, actually one business owner, which launched this tons of opportunity thing. So he told me, you need to go through here. So I started going to all these networking functions. Out of these networking functions, I had so many meetings, my schedule couldn't even take it. And that's how I met. I remember one of the guys I was meeting with was at a coffee shop, and his CEO came to the coffee shop, and he introduced me to the CEO, and I said what I did, and he goes, oh, well, that's just great. He goes, I have LifeLock. Can you take over my account? Like, can you handle it? And I said, yeah, sure I can. And he said, I said, by the way, this is something that we can offer to your employees. He goes, oh, perfect. Just email such and such person, and we'll get you scheduled right away. So, I mean, it's all about being out in the community and networking. So, once again, it goes back to and when I met with those business owners, I wasn't looking to sell them on LegalShield. I was looking to just say, hey, you know what, I'm launching a business in the national market. I'm extremely excited about it. Here's the mission we're on. It was very clear about our mission, and I asked for help. I said, where would you go? Who would you talk to? If you were launching a business from the ground floor, what would you do? Because all of these, Nashville's in a sense what they call a good old boys club. It's all about who you know, not what you know. So if it's about who you know, then I need to be meeting people that have spheres of influence. So long story short is it's been a complete and total blast. It's so much fun. Another example of that, it's all about working smarter versus harder. I've been trying to get into an organization in Knoxville that has about 80 employees for the last year, been in communication with their HR person. Their HR person moved to a different responsibility in the company or different role. Long story short is we recruited a new associate in Knoxville who used to do some video editing for this organization. And I said, hey, you know what? If you have any contacts there, like, let's go ahead and work this account together. We could both benefit. Long story short is this. He calls the president of the company. Within 1 day, has a meeting with the new HR person. Yesterday, we meet with the HR person. We book the enrollment. They're so excited about the services. So once again, it's all about relationship. It's all about meeting people, building rapport, and making it happen. So.
Well, I want to have you share what you told me yesterday also, because I would say you're not having fun also because you're listening to other people's stories that nobody wants this, or companies don't want this, or people don't want the career. So can you just share when you made the presentation yesterday and the lady was going, she kept nodding. Like Gail is doing the consumer folder presentation, right, in front of the key people of this huge organization in Knoxville, and you're telling me about the lady just,
Well, it was really cool because, and it was especially cool because the new associate that I had in the meeting with me, of course, to learn, he introduced the meeting because he's the one that ultimately got the appointment with this HR person, and then he introduced me, and so he just kind of watched this take place. And anyway, so you know how it is with decision makers. I view myself as a consultant, not a salesperson. I'm there to help them understand how they can impact their bottom line and add value to their employees, so on and so forth. So I just kind of I didn't have the consumer folder out. I was doing the consumer folder presentation from memory quickly because I want to respect her time. But literally every single time I would say, a different benefit, she'd nod her head and be like, wow. Okay, and then I would talk about, the member perks, and then I talk about the mobile app, and then I talk about the will questionnaire, just each of those different things, and it was like it just kept getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. I mean, she was like, wow, okay. And, what's really interesting is the fact that I asked her, well, she actually mentioned, and I got to figure out how long our broker is going to need for the, the meetings. And I said, well, who's your broker? Her broker is one of my brokers who has not introduced LegalShield to this account. And so unfortunately for them, of course we'll have that conversation, but unfortunately for them, they missed out on an opportunity to serve their client with our services. And so long story short is, when you serve as a consultant and you're about meeting the needs of employees and bringing the value, great things happen.
Excellent. And so the
Hey, Darcy.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? Hey, just real quick, I think you've got such a great topic just going. Brielle and I just met with one of the top 5 brokers in the United States in Denver, and Brielle did just a phenomenal job. But in that meeting was the principal for the entire company, as well as he brought in during the lunch and learn his producers. And 2 of his producers, one was the voluntary benefits account manager, and the other one was the voluntary benefits really strategic relationship gal. And Brielle, why don't you just take a second and share real quick what, I'm not going to be throwing out names here, but just what, the gentleman had to say when we were doing when he actually did comparisons to MetLaw and MetLife, just how, just what a proponent he was of LegalShield. This guy is just excited, and I just think it goes to share with what you're sharing, what's happening in the marketplace when people are speaking to and seeing this value proposition that is second to none. So, Brielle, why don't you just share a little bit of that, how excited he was?
Well, he was extremely excited, first of all, and matter of fact, we will be rolling out the services to 3 companies this fall that have a footprint over 5,000 employees. One of them that wants to completely fringe it for his employees. But the thing about it is he's been a member of MetLaw, but he's also been a member of LegalShield. And he was explaining how with MetLaw, you're just another person out there to these attorneys. You're not the #1 client. There's really no sense of urgency to get back to you. The referral process is just not as great by any means as what we have to offer, and then of course working with LegalShield, having been a member of LegalShield too, the response time was better, they're extremely efficient, they're extremely customer service driven, so on and so forth, and then on top of that, MetLife has new MetLife Defender, and the Kroll products or the ID Shield products are 10 times better from the standpoint of the comprehensiveness, the affordability, who they cover, the seamless, administration, and then the seamless communication and marketing point. I mean, he is just absolutely thrilled, and he's leading with a lot of the ID Shield stuff because it's on the forefront of a lot of clients' minds. Matter of fact, he had another client that was about 1,000 employees that was going to consider fringing it until their medical benefits came back 40% higher. So, needless to say, he's extremely excited, and it's really fun coming across those brokers that are excited. All of you out there are probably thinking, man, I wish my broker was that excited. I would just encourage you to just continue to press on, continue to build that relationship, because I have brokers in Knoxville too that are not as excited as I wish they were. Matter of fact, I got an RFP from one yesterday for about 1,700 employee group that they partner with not only us for an identity theft product, but InfoArmor and some other ones. Well, they tend to shop low cost versus high value. So anyways, all about goes back to building the relationship. We have to stay consistent and persistent in building those relationships so we can really service these accounts.
Yeah, more than anything, I just wanted the folks to hear that this gentleman, that has, one of the top brokerages in North America could have stood on stage anywhere and been a LegalShield, sales professional, because he knew so well what our services, what our benefits offered compared to what others offered. And again, like Darcy said, be careful who you listen to, because out there in the marketplace are people who really get it, and it's up to us to help educate them. So good job, Brielle. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. And there's a question, does Brielle, does everybody on the Knoxville team use a consumer folder with each participant in a group presentation? Absolutely. We use it with every single presentation, whether it's a recruit, okay, here's Brielle.
So in my group presentation yesterday, what I've been doing, since the consumer folder isn't updated with the new ID Shield stuff, I'll just insert the ID Shield flyer in an application. And I don't give them the consumer folder prior to me educating them on our services. I actually do the consumer folder presentation, just verbally, really engage them, from an emotional standpoint, like get them interested, the have you ever, and then I walk through the 4 questions, 4 benefits, so on and so forth. And then at the very end, when I'm going to enroll them, I will give them that packet with the application in there. I'll walk through pricing, walk through the application, and enroll them.
All right, and that's if you're sitting down with a HR director, you go through the consumer folder.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting down with a broker, you go through the consumer folder.
And that looks different, just so you're aware. I mean, as you all know, as business owners, when you're working with professional business owners, they don't always have the amount of time that you might have in an enrollment. You might have 20 minutes in an enrollment. With a decision maker, you might have 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm not always having the consumer folder right in front of their face. I'm typically kind of engaging them from a standpoint of, well, let me make it personal for you. Have you ever considered this? Or have you ever, and 100% of the time, once it's personal for them, they can see it for their employees, they can see it for their small business, so on and so forth. So I really would encourage all of us, if you don't already, which many of you do, is just have the consumer folder presentation in memory, have it in mind at all times so you never those questions and know the benefits.
Here's the new consumer folder will even have more have you evers. So and they're all one line according to Ms. Cheryl Garcia. She wanted everything on one line, but the new identity theft page will have the $5 million guarantee and all the areas that we cover. And here's a really good part. What would an ID thief do with your identity? It'll show all of the problems. So here's the reality, here's the problem that causes, and here's what we do about it. So the new consumer folder will be ready in about a week, so that's pretty exciting. Anyhow, to end to open this up, this is what we want to know. Go team, if you were dropped in an area, could you build big? Could you build a local market organization? Could you serve a community? If you were dropped in any city in the United States in a parachute, you don't know anyone, could you actually build a large organization in 90 days? Based on what you learned today, if not, then you need to go back to the basics. And I want to also mention next week, unbelievable, okay, next week is we have 2 more webinars on all the principles we learned from our $80 million mentor, and next week's going to be a lot of the basics, like why people aren't, if you were dropped in an area and you're saying to yourself, no, I would not build big, okay, I wouldn't have fun. Today's kind of about why you have fun, and that's the building mode. Next week's kind of the basic building mode structure, like what are people, it's so simple that people walk past the simplicity of how to succeed in this business because they are listening to all kinds of other ideas that are conflicting with simplicity because they're making it more difficult. So if that's a problem for you, next week we're going to go over simplicity and the basic building mode principles of what he taught us and what works to actually go and build large in 90 days. So let's open it up. John, over to you. About Go Team, if you were dropped in an area, could you build big? What would you be doing, and what did you learn from today?
Great job, fantastic. I'll just share a quick story. Yesterday when I got on the elevator here in Minneapolis, I'm actually going to use this in my training tomorrow, and it's all about the 3-foot rule, like Darcy shared. But here's a gentleman that got on the elevator with me, and he simply had B on his hat, a B like Boston or boy or whatever. And I just said, how are you? And he says, I'm fantastic. I said, wait, what's the B stand for? You know? And here, I asked one question. That's all I said. What's the B stand for? Now, as I'm just sharing this, anybody that would like to make a comment, ask a question, or kind of share an aha moment, or just, you know, hey, if you were dropped off in the market, would you build big? You know, like Darcy asked, then raise your hand, we'll call on you. So I said, one question, what's the B on your hat for? He said, I'm from Bend, Oregon, and there's a baseball team, a minor league baseball team, and my name's Bob. Now, these are the three things he said to me. So he said, Bend, Oregon, B, baseball team, B, and my name's Bob, B. He goes, I guess it works for all three. So I asked one question, and look at what I learned in one little question. Now, where do you go from there? Well, you can go anywhere. I could ask any of you, what might you ask the gentleman next? You know, hey, you know, Bend, Oregon, what a beautiful area. How long have you been there? That's a possible question. Man, what kind of baseball team? Do you enjoy baseball? Another question. Or, you know, I could have just simply said, you know, hey, well, what are you doing in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area? Anyway, that one question gave me three possible areas to drill back into to get to know a little bit more about Bob. So that's just the beauty of the 3-foot rule. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm not thinking, boy, how quickly can I hammer him with LegalShield? How quickly can I jump all over him with our services? How quickly can I talk to him about the opportunity? That's not there. That's just always a part of. When I wake up in the morning, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, I live, I breathe, I love LegalShield. When the opportunity presents itself, it's here. It's in me. It's part of what I do. It's part of what I love. It's part of, you know, making a difference in the world with our product, you know. So I sincerely had an interest in just understanding the B, meeting somebody, enjoying meeting somebody, smiling the whole way through, and when the opportunity presented itself, I could then go into, you know, maybe something about LegalShield or what we were doing or our expanding in the Oregon market. So with that, that's just a little bit of a 3-foot rule. Personally, I shall do. I see that we have Katie. Well, Katie just dropped off. So, Bob Cohen, any comments from you, sir?
Yep.
Bob, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Okay, good. Hey, love the topic. Boy, I tell you what, in the 16 years, my brother and I have been doing the business. If we're not having fun, we're not doing the business correctly. It's as simple as that. This is just an amazing business. You get to, you know, help people with the service, help people on the opportunity side. And here's what I took, you know, 3 pages of notes here. And some of my comments are, you know, every day I make mistakes. You know, I make mistakes all the time. I mess up on something. I don't bring something. I don't say something. Guess what? I keep moving forward. I laugh about it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. But I keep moving. So I love what Darcy was mentioning about you don't have to be a perfectionist. You know, I love the statement, lighten up, your sales will brighten up. It's so, so true. A couple other points here. Just the importance about, you know, new blood is the lifeblood. And here's what I learned, a very valuable lesson. It took me years because I wanted it more than the associate wanted it. And it literally, I finally, for years, I used to have a statement, work with the willing. And I literally had to have that right by my computer there because I've got a huge heart. I want to help everybody. And I got to help those that want to be helped. You know, this is an amazing business. You throw somebody a life raft or the thing around the pool there to save them, and they just keep tossing it aside. They just keep tossing it. It's like the most amazing thing, and then what do? They drown. And again, folks, this is a business of, here's how I figured it out finally. It's who shows up to the events, who shows up on the calls, who returns my calls. It's very simple. Those are the people I work with. You know, and then of course, those criteria, those are the same people that are making sales. Those are the same people that are recruiting and such. And so that has really helped me as a leader. Who do I work with? Because my time is so limited. Couple more just ideas real quickly is I love the consumer report, consumer folder, folks. because it truly just keeps you on the right track versus the say and spray method. And so many times I go and, I'm out in the field here in California right now, and I'm working with the team, and I'll just simply ask them, hey, market me a membership. Oh, I want to hear what you're doing. And it's pretty fascinating to hear what people are doing, and yet we've got this amazing clean system called the consumer folder where it absolutely keeps you on track. And again, folks, embrace it. Take you a little bit of a learning curve, nothing too crazy, but I tell you what, you'll absolutely have a lot more fun in your business, using that consumer folder because it works, okay? We wouldn't be emphasizing it if it didn't. So those are just a few things. Last but not least, yeah, John.
Bobby, one little question just for everybody, and if you can, just in a minute or so, give them your answer. But you moved from California to the East Coast. You and your wife bought a historic landmark bed and breakfast, and you went from keeping the main thing in California to getting a little bit distracted and kind of getting out of phase one as you moved out to the East Coast, and your business got a little bit flat, got a little bit stagnant, and you're back into phase one. And because you're back into, like Darcy talked about, phase one, why don't you share with folks what's happening in your business real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got momentum, number one, not only ourselves but the whole team does, as well as the company, of course. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be in that business building mode because you do have fun. Again, it's that new blood is the lifeblood. I love the statement, work with the best, work with the builders there, love the rest. That's the beauty of this system that we have, is that you can plug everybody in. And we're breaking executive directors. Terry Cohen just qualified here this month. And that's the thing, folks. Again, if you're not having fun, it's time to reevaluate your goals, time to reevaluate, income-wise and position-wise, and just, again, what's your dreams? Why are you doing LegalShield? You've got to go back to that again and make sure that's in front of you. And here we are with the Cancun contest here in the month of August. What an opportunity that everyone's invited, and it just takes activity to make it happen. A few things that are going on with the team.
Bobby, I appreciate your leadership and all that you're doing. And I tell you what, Bob had me on a three-way call yesterday. Bob has put people in front of me in the different markets that I go into. I know he's engaged. I know he's in phase one, but because he's constantly putting people on a three-way conference call with me. How many three-ways have you guys done with your team workout partners? That's a good indicator of what's happening. But Bob, appreciate it, and you could hear Bob's out there in Southern California in the marketplace early this morning getting it done. Frankie Prima, I see your hands up. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to tell you, I think I've been following your system as much as I can. Thank you so much, because really, guys, I've been from zero pretty much in May, personal problems. Actually now, Performance Club, I kicked off, and in actually June and July, and now in August, and actually carrying over, guys, extra points. So I'm really excited about that. But let me tell you something. I use Panera Bread as my office. And I just go out and smile and say good morning, good afternoon, and share. And I use the LegalShield product view overview, and I carry it and I fold it in four, and I just start talking to people, and I hate it. This is what I do, But I'm trying to set the appointment. And one of the things, guys, y'all talked about is setting 10 appointments, and to be able to do the presentation. And that is my, 10 appointments a week, and I've been very, very successful. But you got to get, that momentum to be able to, like y'all said, open those doors and be able to talk to people from a cold or a warm market to an appointment. And that's what I really thank y'all, because it's been a struggle, but I'm having fun. That's it, Thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, Frankie, fantastic. Smile and share, smile and share. That's a Great little moment right there. We appreciate you. Glad you're at the Basics of Performance Club, and watch what happens with that. Teresa Wright Johnson, we'll run out to you in Virginia, and after you, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Hoffman, for having me on the call this morning. What a great presentation, and it is all about being happy. When I first got started with LegalShield, I was happy with working for Uncle Sam. I truly was. I'm one of those special people, I guess. I love going to work. I had fun. I did what I needed to do. I worked with the best of the best, the generals, traveled all over the country. But when I took a look at LegalShield, and I essentially got dropped into an area and needed to start building, even though I was the best of the best at what I did with Uncle Sam, I realized I had to humble myself, spare everybody my brilliance, and learn from the people who really knew this industry. And when I did that, it taught me really how to go into an area, which is what I did, my hometown, and actually actually built a team. And it was so much fun. When you're having fun in this business, you love going out to weekly presentation. You love going out to the Super Saturday. You love doing the long distance packages. You love everything about the 10 core commitment because you are in phase one, and that's where you want to be. And so it's been an amazing, amazing journey. But I'm going to be transparent, John. At one point in time, I did go into that mismanagement, and I was doing all of the wrong things that Mrs. Hoffman talked about earlier, doing all of the wrong things, and it got me nowhere. And so when you drop back out of that and go back to phase one, then that's where the fun starts. And I remember I was at a hotel setting up a weekly presentation there, locking in the room, and there was someone in there, they were preparing for their wedding, and I did the 3-foot rule that changed my entire organization by simply saying, your daughter looks like Raven Simone, and this you can tell this a long time ago, but because I had made that one comment, the person said, I know we get that all the time. We started up a conversation. Come to find out, she was the sister of a very close friend of mine. I had no clue who this person was. It was her sister. But that opened up the doors to my entire organization, and we went gangbuster. And that's exactly what's happening now. We are really focused on, as Mr. Cohen said, keeping the main thing, and working with the willing. You can't work with everybody, but you got to work with the people who want it like you want it, see it like you see it, so we can get it like the Hoffmans have it. That's you, Mr. Hoffman.
Oh, thanks, Teresa. There you go, folks. Executive Director, one of our regional managers up in the Virginia market, 17-year veteran, understanding and being honest and looking in the mirror and saying, hey, look, I got out of phase one. I got to get back and got to put some new builders front line. Got to get back into doing what I did in the beginning. That's fantastic, Teresa. Appreciate you. We do see Bernard Fogg out there. So, Bernard, we've got a minute. Real quick, we'll go out to you. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we sure can. Go ahead.
Oh, good. I wanted to just say thank you for the presentation today. It's amazing, good topic, and thank you for all you do. And I just have a quick question. Are the new consumer folders ready yet? Can we order them?
Darcy, go ahead, Darcy.
They can be ordered in a week.
Okay.
So actually we don't have a webinar next Friday, but we will just look on what's new on ShieldNation, and it'll say the new consumer folder is ready to be ordered. So you'll keep looking under the home page on ShieldNation.com under what's new, and when we're ready, there'll be some sort of message up there, right, Trish? But it'll be about a week or less.
Okay. Well, thank you. I still have a few of the old ones left, and I'll just do what Brielle suggested. Just put that ID shield sheet in there, and I'll be good until the new ones come out.
All right. Good.
Yeah, the old ones are absolutely phenomenal. I use them all the time, and so if we didn't have the new ones, then those will work just as fine. My point is Darcy and Brittany Hoffman is now on board with us, and Darcy and Trish and Cheryl Garcia and so many others, Bob, have just put in some amazing comments. And when you see the new consumer folders, the old ones were absolutely phenomenal. the new ones are just, they blow me away how much work everybody's put into it, and Darcy's just done a phenomenal job with the team. So about a week, you'll see it all on ShieldNation, and put the old ones to work, max them out, and you'll have the new ones will be ready.
Yeah,
Okay,
Brenda.
Thank you, sir.
Jerry or Brenda, you don't want to make a comment?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, this is Jerry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, Jerry, you bet.
Hey, you know, I had to laugh when you put up some of those original charts. It's about having fun, and one of the things that that I found is that if you're prepared in the 3-foot rule, it's a lot more fun. I think you know, having your elevator speech or your 30-second presentation or whatever ready that fits the you know, the particular environment you're in makes it a lot more fun. You don't want to be nervous when you're talking to somebody trying to fire up a conversation. So having those there and practicing them does make it a lot more fun. The 3-foot rule, in my opinion, is one of the most fun because it gives you surprises and gives you the most, I guess, the varied results. And the other thing, Ed, I had to laugh about this. I did a little training. This is many, many years ago when we first moved to Arizona, and I was talking about this is a sorting business. I mean, you don't. Everybody doesn't get in the business. Everybody doesn't get a membership. You're looking for the people for whom this is the right thing to be doing now. And I talked about sorting over and over again, and there was a woman in the back of the room, a good-looking woman, and she was nodding, and I said, well, it looks like you have something to offer. She said, well, yeah, this is like looking for a husband. Not everyone makes the grade. I mean, you're looking for the right one. So we had a good laugh about that, and back to you.
Really?
That's you. Did I break the system?
We can hear you.
You could not hear me?
We could.
I can
Okay.
hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you for something.
Oh well. Anyways, a great presentation this morning. Give everyone best.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who's this?
This is Teresa Johnson.
Hi, this is Jim Riley in New York.
Hi, Jim. I'm not sure what happened, but I think we lost their connection.
It's probably a wrap. It's probably a wrap. So, yep, great webinar, everybody. Great job joining, and you know, do let your team know about the 24/7 playback if they didn't make the live version. Great habit to get into on a weekly basis. So, everybody, get out there, have a great day, great weekend, and let's get Performance Club qualified. That's the secret sauce of LegalShield. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.